Ladies, if you're single and you live in an urban area and you don't have multiple men on your roster, you need to start, because let me tell you, if you're talking to one guy, there is a 98% chance that he will disappoint you. And it's also not always that they're going to disappoint you, but sometimes you're just not going to be into the person. And when you put all of your eggs into one basket, I'm just noticing that a lot of women, myself included, are putting too much energy into one person, and you really shouldn't until they're gonna show you that they're serious about you. It's called dating for a reason, because you're supposed to date multiple people to find one person. And don't feel guilty, just be honest and open about it. Men do this shit all the time, so. And that doesn't mean that you should be sleeping with them all. And something that's helped me take the pressure off is treating dates like they're hanging out with friends, but they still need to pay.
Great plan.
Thank you.
He likes your plan, Chief.
Hey lady, if you're treating dates like a hangout with friends where the other party needs to pay for you, then that is literally the exact opposite of dating with a purpose. You're just exploiting a man for his resources at that point. And you're forgetting the key factor in this so-called plan of yours. And while you're comparing and contrasting the qualities of all of these men, those very same men are determining whether or not you're worth more than a roll in the hay, and 9 times out of 10, you're typically not. You have no power over these men. The only power you wield is over the simps who will gladly waste their money on you for the mere chance of getting a half-hearted hug and maybe seeing a bra strap at best. Those guys don't have rosters. They're part of the dreaded bottom 95%. They're not talking to a lot of chicks. The only men who do have rosters are the ones who have no problems with women. And those are the men you desire. But I'm gonna let you in a little secret there, Toots. If they're putting you in the roster, it's not because they think you're worth something serious. It's quite the opposite. It means you're on standby for some smash and dash. And all of this could have been avoided if you took dating seriously and accepted that there's nothing wrong with the average man. But you'll never accept that. You're too busy exploiting simps for free food.
Wish I could stay, but I got a thing. Bye.
So I just wanted to briefly touch on this. Obviously, I'm on TikTok, but I have met so many nice women, and I'm so happy because even my one-to-one sessions, I've made so many friendships, and people are so nice here. But there is like a small minority of comments that say, I have hit the wall, I'm just here for money, I'm bitter, and I'm giving really bad advice to young women. So I just want to comment on that. I do not hate men.
Liar! Liar! Liar!
So it's quite the opposite. I really don't hate men. I honestly don't. And I just believe that if you are a woman with options, it's always best to go for the best option. Even if a man was in a room and he had as many options as a female, he would definitely go for the best option. And why can't a woman? Okay?
Shut up! This is totally different!
Lady, you don't need to hate men in order to dehumanize them. Your advice to women is to treat men like they're commodities, not like they're actual people. In your eyes, you look at a man and ask what he can do for you, while completely forgoing that tiny little detail that you must provide something to him outside of your uncanny ability to waste his oxygen. You're confusing the idea of the best option with the perfect option. You're telling women that the majority of men out there are terrible people because they can't afford you. The only problem with that sentiment is that you're putting an overvalued price tag on a chunk of fool's gold. But you can't even explain what value you bring to the man, and yes, that actually matters. If a man is going to have you in his life, he's going to expect a few things that you're not willing to provide. And you have no problem just taking things from him while providing nothing in return. That's not hate. You don't need to hate men in order to be a parasite.
So why can't a woman go want the best for herself and go for that instead of going into a relationship with a man and you are struggling, you're broke, and you're going to have a hard life? So they are my thoughts, okay?
Do you accept cash?
But we're not talking about being married to a hobo woman. We're talking about average men with jobs that pay well enough so long as you're willing to live a life within reason. That's not being broke. That's not struggling, that's just life. And relationships aren't about living a rich lifestyle. Struggle comes with the territory, and rightfully so. If you're not struggling through life from time to time, then you're not growing and becoming stronger, and the same rules apply for relationships. Vinny Drombrowski, the lead singer for Sponge, one of the most criminally underrated bands of the 1990s and preferred band of the intergalactic space god Flefleflard, all hail, sang it best. Things are great on the way up, but nobody's with you when you're on the way down. And if you're not willing to stand by your man during the hard times, then what the hell makes you think you're worthy of that man's time when he's enjoying the good ones? It's awfully convenient that you can just ignore that little factoid that these men are the worst possible option, and that's because you disregard emotional stability to focus on material wealth. And that's not only unfair, it's downright disrespectful.
So I'm not bitter. My past experiences were probably better than the majority of people. So I'm really not bitter, and I have not hit any type of wall either. But yeah, I just think that it's better to go for the best option. Men would do it every time, so why can't a woman who has options go for the best one? It's the smartest choice. I mean, most people would agree with that. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that. And if people are thinking, you know, I'm just here for this or that, you're wrong.
All right, answer me this, sister. If your experiences with men are better than the average gal, then why are you clearly single? If there's one thing these dating coaches have in common is that they're all single, which means that they do not have a successful dating life. They're just good at getting men to buy them things. You'd think the best advice would come from women who have been successfully and happily married for over 35 years or something, but that's never the case. It's always the bitter, post-wall broads who think that they're the arbiters of wisdom. But if your advice was so great, then why are we seeing declines in literally every single aspect of human pair bonding? Men don't date, they're not getting married, and they're finding their own peace in their own lives and have no desire for a woman outside of a few rounds of bedroom fun every now and again. Well, the answer is simple, lady. That's because you are miserable, alone, and profoundly bitter. And if you can't be happy with the man in your life, then there isn't anybody else who's allowed to be happy. That's why you want as much company at the wall as you can muster, because at the wall, misery loves company.
I am a spicy content creator, and I just woke up after a full day of creating content all day yesterday.
That's why I praise the Lord for prostitutes.
A really big reason why I got into this industry is because the normal workforce did not like all of my chronic illness. My personal biggest problem is my hip dysplasia. It currently feels like my leg is being ripped from its sockets at the base of my waist. It literally just hurts to move right now. But I'm lucky enough that I get to lay in bed all day if I want to, because I'm my own boss as a content creator. I know so many other people experience this as well, and sometimes it sucks not having any inspiration to make any kind of content. And sometimes I wish I did have a real job, but it is literally not possible for me. I've been let go from so many jobs. I've worked at colleges, I've worked at restaurants, I've worked at retail places, I've worked at smoke shops, I've worked at art places, and because I look like I'm completely physically able-bodied, they gave me absolutely no mercy. I was sitting down for too long, I wasn't doing my job right, which I was doing my job right, it just took me longer, and I had to sit down after I finished doing something. And I know this isn't my fault, this is ableism in the workplace.
What's that, shit? It's a shit smell. Is that you? Smells like pop-pop.
Hold the phone there, Chatty Cathy. Ableism in the workplace? All the jobs you listed are jobs that require you to be on your feet all day, which leads me to believe that you didn't disclose your medical condition to your employers during the screening process, because if you did, they wouldn't have hired you for a multitude of reasons. They weren't being discriminatory over your condition, sister. If that was the case, you'd have grounds for a massive lawsuit. But that's obviously not the case here. So it's kind of hard to have sympathy for you when you're giving us this lack of information. Do you mean to tell me that if you didn't have hip dysplasia, you would have never become an internet spice miner? Is that literally what you're trying to say here? Because your tattoos are screaming otherwise. I mean, if that's what you want to do with your life, that's fine, but there aren't enough sob stories in the world that's going to make a guy like me have sympathy for you. It's your life to screw up, sister, but come on. Even if your hip wasn't messed up, we all know you'd still be making this content. The only difference is that you would have a completely different excuse to complain. As a spice miner, you won't be able to help it. You need those sympathy clicks and comments.
But it's days like today that I'm very thankful for content creation, and I get to laugh in all the stupid people's faces that leave comments like, "You're not a content creator." Then what am I doing here? Because this is honestly more of a straining job than I've ever had before. I still have to work with the public on a social level. I don't have specific hours. I work when I want to work, but usually that ends up being all day. People who aren't content creators get to get off their phones and take a break for a while and disconnect. Content creators don't get to do that on a frequent basis. We constantly have to be scrolling looking for trends and new sounds and new video ideas. We are usually the ones coming up with all our ideas for the content itself. We have to be our own management, answering all of the DMs and posting everything to all of the different sites. You have to be your own videographer and photographer.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening.
Alright, I guess I'm a little lost here. Why the hell are you complaining? You're your own boss. You're making money and covering your body in god-awful tattoos that I'm sure will look fantastic when you're in your late 30s. So what's the point of this complaint? It's amazing how you could be so angry with men who call you out for your profession, and your rebuttal is to turn around and complain about how you have to endlessly advertise on the internet so that you can make money with your job on the internet. That is how self-employment works, you clod. You can't brag about how successful you are and then demand sympathy because you have to spend days on end on the internet. Especially in your case, you're demanding the impossible. You want unilateral support for what you do, while at the same time you want to normalize what you do for a living. It doesn't work that way, sweetheart. Society is under no obligation to have any form of sympathy for you, your hip, or the fact that you work so hard to advertise your particular brand of filth. You whine and complain about how hard you have to work when you're the one who decided to join the industry in the first place. You can't have it both ways, sister.
And you have to post on like every social media site there is. There's spicy sites, which I have at least 3 accounts for. I have a Reddit, I have a Twitter, I have several TikToks, I have Instagram, and I have an entire Discord server. Yet I have become so conditioned that productivity is the norm, and I know that I am in so much pain right now. I still feel bad for laying in bed at 7:45 in the morning. So I don't know, be a little bit nicer today to your favorite content creators. Send them a tip or something. Holiday season is a struggle, and I just wanted to recognize all of the people who have to go through this kind of pain on a daily basis while creating content. And to those still in the workforce, because this f***ing sucks.
That's not my problem. It's yours.
So what exactly are you expecting, woman? You joined an industry that's already oversaturated with average-looking women who are covered in permanent markings. Of course you're going to have to endlessly promote your wares into every corner of the internet. That doesn't make you worthy of sympathy. Doesn't even make you worthy of a pat on the back. You're doing the bare minimum you need to promote your business, and your business involves making your medical condition worse by contorting your body in all sorts of unnatural directions in order to sell your shame for cash. And you brought all that on yourself. But as a spice miner, your ability to accept any form of accountability is about on par with your contributions to society. And even though you actively participate in the moral decay of the very fabric of reality itself, you still expect people to feel sorry for you because you took the path of least resistance when it comes to making money. And that doesn't make you worthy of pity, sweetheart. It makes you worthy of mock and ridicule from people on the internet. And if you can't stand that particular bit of heat, maybe you should have figured out how to make yourself useful in the kitchen. And that is going to do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. And as always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and leave a couple of comments, and make sure to share this video so we can get the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for checking out the new video, and until next time, peace out, homies.